You now have the basics of research methodology and are ready to explore published research papers in more detail. Let's begin with the paper, Eye Contact Affects Object Representation in Infants. Begin this module by downloading and reading the paper. Use the skills that you acquired in the Literature Research module to locate and download the paper from PLOS 1. Now that you are familiar with APA style, you can see that the formatting of the title of the paper does not exactly match APA style. This is because individual journals have their own guidelines formatting strategies and solutions. Visit Chapter 5 in Doing Developmental Research for more information on the structure and formatting of journal articles. We see that this paper is published in PLOS 1. Let's imagine that we want to replicate the study in our own laboratory. Before beginning, we may be curious. 1. What percentage of participants were excluded from the study? 8%, 28%, 2%, or 22%? To answer this question, first we need to know the total number of infants tested. As we see on page 3, there were a total number of 28 participants included in the study. Next, we need to know the total of participants excluded. We see on the same page that there were infants excluded for a number of reasons, and that there were a total of 8 excluded. Therefore, there was initially 36 infant participants. Now we have the information we need to determine the percent of infants that were excluded from the study. What percent of 36 is 8? If you answered 22%, you are correct. This information may be important if we want to replicate the study. Replication is an important process in research. It tells us about how generalizable the findings may be across cultures, for example. It might also tell us how generalizable the results may be to a given population. For instance, if 80% of infants had been excluded from the study, we may question how generalizable the results are from the remaining 20% of the infants. Next, we might want to know how did the researchers control for any object preferences? Did they only use round toys? Did they randomize test objects? Did they only test females? Or did they do all of the above? As we can see on page 3, the answer is that they randomized test objects. Next, we might want to identify what a dependent measure in the study was. Was it crying duration, fatigue, object processing, or eye contact? If you answered C, object processing, you are correct. We might also want to identify what the independent measure in the study is. Was it eye contact, nap duration, pitch of cry, or crying duration? If you answered A, eye contact, you are correct. Next, let's look at figure 3. What is on the x-axis? Is it smiling duration, looking duration, condition, or looking times? As we see in the figure, the answer is C, condition. Next, can you determine how many references are included in the paper? Is it 8, 12, 37, or 16? Let's look at the reference section. As you can see, the answer is C, 37. In what year was reference number 17 published? Is it 2007, 1999, 2006, or 1982? To answer this question, we must look directly at the reference page. If you look to reference number 17, we can see that this reference is titled Joint Attention Social Cues Influence Infant Learning, and it's published in the journal European Journal of Developmental Psychology. And we can see that it was published in the year 2006.